Welcome everybody to the Hot Picks webinar for April 5, 2023. And today I have the pleasure of welcoming John Kilgour. John is the Chief Executive Officer of the Fire Protection Association. And today we'll be doing a deep dive into Fire Australia, which comes up on May 3, 2025. So John, let's just swap over to you here now. Welcome to Hot Topics. And I look forward to sharing with our viewers a little bit more about Fire Australia 2023. So John, perhaps you could start by introducing yourself and what you do at the Fire Protection Association.
Oh, look, thanks Russ. It's great to be with you, and I do want to thank you for your kind invitation to have a discussion, not only with yourself, but the many technicians and also building owners that Firewise are engaged with. Look, as the CEO of the Fire Protection Association, I've been here now just on 13 months. We're responsible for probably 5 key areas within the fire protection industry around protecting life, property and the environment. And they're centred around our 5 key pillars, which we call STARS, and that's skills development, technical advice, accreditation and licensing, representation and advocacy for and on behalf of the industry, and also the services that we provide our members. We've got something like 1,740 members right across the country. We've got nearly 4,000 accredited practitioners operating, predominantly in New South Wales, but also in other states. So we effectively are the voice of the industry, not only to industry stakeholders, but back to government.
So John, in May 3 to May 5 this year, we've got Fire Australia coming up, and I know that the conference has been running for many years. Tell us about where the conference is in 2023 and what people should expect. And we might just talk a little bit after you've done this sort of introduction about some of the speakers and the theme of the conference.
Yeah, no, thanks Russ. I mean, it's important to realise this is the largest event in the fire industry in the Southern Hemisphere, and we will have over 2,000 delegates and over 90 exhibitors. So building on Fire Australia 2022, which I attended for the first time last year in Melbourne, we're now heading off to the International Convention Centre in Sydney, and as you said, from the 3rd to the 5th of May in 2023. And it's fair to say the conference and exhibition is broken into 3 what I would call key areas. The first is the exhibition itself. And as I said, we've got 90 or so exhibitors from right around the region, not just Australia-based, but Australasia and Southeast Asia this year. Had a lot of interest coming across from China, the Middle East and also India. So we've got a number of manufacturers, suppliers and service providers to the industry, which would be of interest to many of your listeners and clients here today. We have a little bit of change this year. We're going to actually engage in a number of sessions with our exhibitors, and during the breaks we'll have a number of opportunities to engage and hear from our exhibitors and the work that they're doing, but also with the broad cross-section of what I call service providers. So for example, the work that FPA Australia is doing not only in training and supporting the industry, but also hearing from our accreditation manager, Greg Smith, about the accreditation program and some of the changes potentially that could be coming down here in Victoria under the new or proposed Victorian Building Legislation Amendment Bill, which actually went before Parliament for its 3rd reading last week. And we'll start to see through that some reforms which are coming on the back of the Building Confidence Report. Most of you would know the Shergold-Weir report and the 24 recommendations, and one of the key areas there was around strengthening the professional standards within our industry, and in Victoria, particularly where you're servicing clients and your clients are working, Russ, there will be a strengthening of the role of the State Building Surveyor. There'll be the establishment of a building monitor and all of the building approvals process. And that starts to move into the conference part of the program, where we have somewhere in the order of 40 to 42 sessions, both breakout, plenary and presentations from industry experts who are engaged in quite a lot of detail within our industry. And they are going to share with our people attending the conference and our delegates, key industry highlights, engaging in an interactive format and a number of sessions. And I'll talk a little bit more about that with you in a moment. The third leg of the stool is the gala dinner, and the gala dinner is designed to recognise and award businesses and individuals who lead the professional standard and commitment around excellence, innovation and leadership within the industry. And Russ, I would like to just acknowledge and thank you as one of our independent judges for the gala dinner. We can explore and talk a little bit more about the various categories and the awards that are on offer, but I know that you've been part of that process and I want to thank you for that.
Thank you. I must admit, I got a reminder that I've got to submit my judging information today.
Paul did ask me to remind you. So you're live and online. You've been called out.
Nothing like a bit of public pressure, I'd say. I actually finished it a couple of days ago, but I reformatted my feedback and observations about the awards in a format that helped me make sure that my votes or my selection was in line with the criteria that was set out in the awards requirements.
Yeah.
So, John, I'm excited. I've been to many Fire Australia conferences. I've spoken at a number of them. I think the first one I ever did was about the environmental impact of fire protection in Australia. But this year I see that the theme to me is a lot about building confidence. That's how I've interpreted that. But what is the actual theme of the conference?
Well, I think you probably hit the nail on the head. It is about building confidence, and it is about raising standards within the professional services that we as an industry provide. But it's also exploring changes and innovation changes that are happening within our industry. I'm excited about some of the sessions that I'm engaged with. I know previously you had a slide up which highlighted the program over the 2.5 days. I had the unique opportunity to interview a recording session with Dame Judith Hackett, DBE. Dame Judith headed up the British government review into the Grenfell Tower disaster, and we explored what Grenfell meant not only personally to her, but also how the UK government responded in the wake of this tragic event, and what were the recommendations and findings coming out of that review. And I'm really keen to explore that and show that at the opening session on the first day to the delegates that are going to be in attendance. And we really got down to a bit of the detail around, how the regulatory reforms, which is still work in progress within the UK, but what it means for us here in Australia. And actually Dame Judith has been doing a lot of work with the Victorian government, with the Better Building Regulations Commissioner in Anna Cronin, and some of the regulatory changes that will come through is built on the back of that. The other one for me, Russ, is around standards, and one of the questions I asked Judith is the tension between sustainability and sustainable living, and is that compromising safety? And we're starting to see, innovation. We're seeing lithium-ion batteries, we're seeing EV chargers, cars. We're seeing the impact that's potentially having and how the emergency services are responding to that. But more importantly, the impact it's having on the built form and the Australian standards associated with that. So there's a couple of really good sessions planned around that. We've got certainly a deep dive into the AS 1851 standards and the changes that are being proposed there with the National Construction Code, and a number of other subject matter experts and sessions that I'm happy to explore with you a bit further.
So let's, I think the vast majority of people who watch our webinars live, and then over the next month, we'll get a lot more people who are watching. Most of them are people who are working in the trade in fire protection in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
So for people who are attending the conference maybe for the first time or they've been before, let's just talk a little bit about the conference exhibition and trade show.
Mm-hmm.
I know that starts very early on the first day. What day of the week is it? I think it's a Wednesday is the first day, isn't it?
It is a Wednesday, so we kick off bright and early. The actual plenary sessions, I think our opening address kicks off around 8:30, but all the exhibitors do their bump in the day before, as you're aware, Russ, and they're all ready to go when the doors open up for the trades. And it's a great opportunity to have some quality time with the suppliers and manufacturers and the service providers to the industry, as I explained. As I said earlier, we have got some sessions planned during the breaks. On the first day, we'll have Greg Smith talking around our accreditation and training programs. We'll then have a number of our suppliers, including Firefox, Citawell Electronics, Cleavertronics, Reese Fire, who are a gold sponsor, very proactive and moving into the fire protection industry. We'll also have Ceasefire and a number of technology platform providers that can support technicians and practitioners within the execution of their duties and professional services.
So while people have got the webinar open at the moment, where can they go to register to attend the trade show right now?
Yeah, look, registrations are available on the FPA Australia 2023 site, and I'll actually just open it up here. It's fireaustralia.com.au, and you can /registrations. In terms of registrations itself, you'll see that the trade show and exhibition is actually free of charge. So there's no charge to go. You've just got to get yourself up to Sydney, of course. But the trade show access and the trade show sessions are free of charge. And that free of charge up until the end of April. There would be a charge on the day. So if you actually just turn up on the day and make a registration, there's an administrative charge of around $15 to cover our costs. And there are a series of add-ons, and I'll just touch on those. So if you want to attend any of the conference sessions and also the gala dinner, that is an option, and that's for $170. There's a welcome drink session on the first day, which is the Wednesday night, and this is a great opportunity to network with industry and also with the trade exhibitors, and that is for $80. And we'll host that with drinks and food. And then there are a couple of options around the technical sessions to choose from, which is around $100. And then there is a free on-site tour. And as a cricket tragic and a cricket fanatic, I'm looking forward to going to the SCG and having a look at the fire systems and fire prevention systems that are in place and in practice at a major sporting complex. If you think about, all of us love our football and go to the AFL either on a Saturday or a Sunday, and there's 100,000 people on grand final day. Well, what is the Melbourne Cricket Club and what is the AFL doing to make sure that patrons are there, that are protected and safe from the unlikely event of a fire? Go on, Russ.
No, you just reminded me that phrase that they use on aircraft where they say, in the unlikely event of a water landing, which is code for if we crash into the water, do this. So it's a phrase I use.
Yeah, look, it is unlikely, but at the same time, isn't it? It's assurance. And it was interesting as we had National Fire Protection Month last year in September, and we had conversations, particularly with some major public venues around what they are doing to make sure that patrons are safe. I've worked in third world countries. I've worked in Vietnam. I did 6 years in Vietnam. I can tell you there were certain venues that I just didn't go into because I just didn't feel safe in the advent of a fire. There was just no way the patrons could get out.
Yeah. So we've touched on the trade show, and how many, I've got a list of some of the exhibitors. I might read them out briefly. We've got the big guns in fire safety here. I can see that there's AMPAC. We've got Boss Fire, Blazemaster, BSRA, CSIRO, Dulux, which is one I hadn't seen before.
Yeah, Dulux is an interesting one. Yeah, Dulux is an
tell us a little bit
one.
about that.
Well, look, as part of the on show or the stage sessions, Dulux obviously with their products, we talk about flame resistant products and technology and the innovation that's going on. You think about paints and the innovation that's going on in that area. I'm really looking forward to meeting the Dulux dog. I'm told that you can actually get your photo taken with the big dog, so might be one for you, Russ.
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see if it shows up in social media. Interestingly, while we're talking about social media, I suspect that the hashtag for the conference this year is Fire Australia 23. Would that be correct?
Yes, Fire Australia 23 or even FA 23. We do abbreviate it. So right. Capital F, capital A 23, hashtag FA 23 or Fire Australia 23. So, but look, as you said, there are a number of over 90. This is the largest event probably coming out of COVID. We had about 65 exhibitors last year in Melbourne. We've now got well in excess of 90 exhibitors that put their hand up. And I think there's a re-engagement back to industry from manufacturers and suppliers and key service providers, and a lot of interest from offshore because, as I said, this is the largest trade show in the Southern Hemisphere, and we've had a lot of inquiries and pick up from China, India, and also in Doha and the Middle East for a number of exhibitors that were over at the major exhibition there recently.
I'm just looking through the exhibitors again. I can see that there's Fire Protection Technologies, FireM, which I think showed for the first time last year, FireMate, who have a long history of supporting the association and the conference, FireSense also, who've been around and supported the association and the conference for a long time. And I know that a number of our viewers today will have relationships with many of these companies. So I think it's always good to just catch up with them in the trade show environment, maybe get a little bit of swag along the way, a bag, some sort of gadget thing that the sponsors love to do.
And also, we've got interactive systems. So Flame Systems is an interesting one. We use Flame products in our virtual training. So the Flame Systems and the technology there with VR, virtual reality glasses, and actually immersing yourself into a situation where you're engaging in putting out a fire is quite interesting. We use it in a number of our training programs. We've got from an FPA perspective, we will have our own stand, and it's an opportunity for members or prospective members to have a conversation with the FPA team about the work that we're doing, particularly as we've just released our Directions 28 5-year strategic plan. And I know, Russ, as a former director, you've had a lot to do in the development of that plan and the 5 pillars that support it around our STARS framework. Training is a big one because we're really keen to, as you have correctly titled, creating the opportunities from student to retirement, creating pathways into the industry. There is a great plenary session that I'm moderating on the Wednesday afternoon around women in fire, and we just don't want to talk about women in fire. We actually want to have a conversation about what we're actually doing to promote women in fire. And FPA Australia has recently made a grant funding application to the New South Wales government to develop a pilot program, and the pilot is a 5-stage cadetship program. And that pilot if we're successful for the funding, will run for a period of 12 months. But the vision and the aspiration is to be able to build that up on scale and replicate that program in other states of Australia as part of our commitment to creating greater gender diversity. There is effectively in the building construction industry, Russ, there is only about 12% of females operating, and it's even lower within the fire protection industry, and we want to double that over the next 5 years, and we want to create opportunities. And this program that we're putting together as a five-stage cadetship program is our positive action that we're taking as an industry body to bring women into the industry.
I'd love to just talk briefly. We've got about 9-10 minutes left, John. If we could talk about at the end of each day, there's a drink session. On the first day, there's a cocktail reception. Second day, there's drinks with the exhibitors. They're both very popular amongst people who just want to come in early. Maybe they've started work at 7 o'clock in the morning. They're still working in the city, and we haven't talked about where the conference is being held at. They're in the city, and they want to, maybe they've finished early, maybe 3 o'clock, and then they make their way to the conference exhibition, and then there's some drinks. So I think that's a pretty attractive option for tradies who are working in Sydney. So perhaps you could talk about where the conference is being held and the drinks.
Look, it's at the International Convention Centre down at on Darling Harbour near Barangaroo. And, you know, for the trades, the afternoon sessions, I think, are really a great opportunity. You can get through your work up until lunchtime. The exhibition runs through until 5 p.m. So the trades and effectively the exhibitors are available and on stands and on site right through till about 5 p.m. And then, as you said, Russ, at the end of each day, there's an opportunity to connect up. So in the case of the first day, there is the conference drinks with our exhibitors. As I said before, there's an opportunity for those that come in the afternoon, that they come around 2 o'clock and have an opportunity to have a conversation with the trade exhibitors and then stay on for drinks. The gala dinner is on the Thursday night, and as you're aware, we have quite a good attendance at the gala dinner. We had over 400 attend last year at Crown, and we recognise through our Excellence Awards, but importantly, we raise much needed funds for the Fiona Wood Foundation. The FPA Australia has a foundation sponsor that we support in the Fiona Wood Foundation, and most of you, your viewers would be aware of the excellent work that Fiona Wood has done in the research and development around treatment of burns victims, following on from the Bali bombings. And you know, last year, in fact, we raised in excess of $30,000 for the Fiona Wood Foundation, and you know, it's a much needed and much worthy cause. But as you know, Russ, it's a great chance. I saw you on the dance floor last year with your lovely wife Di, and you actually had the opportunity to present one of the FPA Life Member Awards as well. So it is a night of recognition, but it's a great night to get together as an industry and just celebrate what I think is the important work we all do in the industry in protecting life, property and the environment. And it often goes unrecognised, it goes unheralded, and sometimes it's nice just to take time out of our busy days and schedules to come together and just say thank you. And that's our way of saying thank you.
Yeah, I look forward to attending the conference this year. We should also just talk briefly about the sponsors. We've got gold sponsors, including Reece Fire and Windsor Management Insurance. I know you've talked about Reece. Perhaps you could just touch briefly on Windsor Management.
Yeah, look, Windsor Management have been the insurance provider for FPA Australia over the last 3 years. We entered into a contractual arrangement with Windsor to run the FPA insurance program. And I think it's fair to say at these very tough times, hopefully you've still got me, Russ.
Yeah, you're still here, John, loud and clear.
Oh, it's okay. Okay, sorry about that. Everything's gone off at my end, so there you go. Technology's a
You're on
wonderful thing. So I
screensaver
can't
quitting.
see you. I can't see anything. Yeah, look, Windsor Management have been a wonderful partner of FPA Australia. And as I was saying, we're starting to see services that they're undertaking and at the most competitive price.
There we go. You still there, John?
I am, but I'll see if I can come on.
Your audio's there, but we've lost your video, so that's okay.
No, it's okay. I'm going to come back on.
There we go. Technology. So, oh, there we go. Perfect.
Fantastic. So apologies for that. But look, Windsor do a great job, and I'm looking forward to catching up with Richard Luscombe and the team. They have a stand there, so I'd encourage you. Reece Fire, we talked about. Reece Fire are a new sponsor with FPA Australia and Fire Australia, and they've made a very conscious decision as part of the broader Reece Group, and I've had a lot to do with Reece Group in previous roles within the building and construction industry. They've been a fantastic supplier to industry, and they've moved into providing products and services in fire protection in recent times. And it's great to have them on board, and I'd encourage the trades, particularly given they're setting up some dedicated established fire service centres. They've got one in Adelaide, and they've got and also one in Melbourne, I think out near Narre Warren, that we're in the process of setting up. So I'd encourage you to go have a conversation with the team at Reece around the products and services that they're providing in the industry.
And once again, we've got Chubb as a conference and the Awards Gala Dinner sponsor. And we've also got award partners in Wormald and Simpro.
Yeah, look, we can't put these awards nights on and recognise individuals without the support of our sponsors. And Chubb have been a long time supporter of FPA. Dave Martin and the team, and Rebecca Fullerton in their business development does a super job. As has Wormald. I know you recently had John Lynch talking about AS 1851 to your team through one of your hot topics, and through the Barry Lee Centre, which is our training facility up in Sydney. The Wormald team have been a long time supporter of our awards night, and Simpro, great to have them on board as well, supporting the awards dinner.
So, John, as we wrap things up, I'll just give you a couple of the highlights for me from what I've seen through the program. David Chandler, who's the New South Wales Building Commissioner, never afraid of stirring the pot, is quite active on LinkedIn. He'll be a highlight on the first day for me. I look forward to seeing that. I certainly look forward to, there's another one on that first day that really excites me, the Reforming of New South Wales, which is from Michael Lambert. That one I think will be interesting. And then the session at 2:30 about Australian Standard AS 1851, what's in a standard. I'm looking forward to that one. There's a couple of really interesting people on the panel, John Lynch and Glenn Talbot, who I think will be both very insightful. On day two, sorry, go ahead.
No, go on to day two, yeah.
Probably we should also make a note there. You mentioned it earlier. At the same time, at 4 o'clock is the Women in Fire progress report, which you'll be moderating, and we've got 4 guest speakers attending that one. Day two, another one. Sorry, John, go.
No, that's okay. Keep going. You've got it. You've captured it.
So day two, the future of ozone and greenhouse protection. That will be interesting for me. I've got a bit of an interest in firefighting foams at the moment. And I know while it's not ozone and greenhouse, it is in that area of the environment that I'm particularly interested in.
The other session there, Russ, that's an interesting one would be the dangers of toxic gases. It's in the afternoon, it's around the clean air that we breathe, and heat and flames are not the only dangers when it comes to building fires.
Yeah, that reminds me, you touched on it before about electric vehicles. In May, after the conference, I've got a webinar that it's covering off electric vehicles. And one of the things that I've learned in my research of that topic is that it's the toxic gases which pose a significant problem to people in buildings from an electric vehicle fire. So that will be interesting.
Yeah, and we're starting to see furnishings, the synthetic furnishings and fittings. So if you think about what we're confronted with now, particularly with flashover, probably happening within 3 minutes, the work of our Home Fire Sprinkler Coalition, and who are an exhibitor and doing a session as well on the first day, and what we're doing with regards to Class 1 and 1A regulations to get sprinklers into residential homes is an important one.
On the in the plenary theatre on the last day, there's a title called Fire Protection and International Perspective with you as the moderator. And there are 5 very interesting speakers. The Fire Protection Association New Zealand President, Chris Mack, the CEO of Fire Protection Association New Zealand, Scott Lawson, the CEO of the Fire Industry Association in the UK, Ian Moore, Rob Llewellyn, who's the chairman of the Confederation of Fire Protection Associations Asia, and Howard Passy, who's the Deputy Managing Director of FPA UK as well. So that last day is also really interesting, and I look forward to that.
Yeah, look, I think it's a great opportunity. The issues that are facing Australian practitioners are not unique, and they're no different to those being encountered overseas. And everyone's grappling with regulations and innovation, increasing risks, and how we can learn a lot from the international community. So I'm really looking forward to moderating that session with Ian, Howard, Rob, and Chris and Scott from New Zealand. I think it's just a great opportunity to engage in that conversation.
Well, John, thank you so much for your time today. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to speak with you about Fire Australia 23, or hashtag FA23, as it might be referred to. That's coming up on May 3 to May 5 in Sydney at the International, what's it called? The
Convention Centre. International Convention Centre.
Thank you.
Yeah, and look, if anyone's interested and they're a little bit lost, they can always ring the team here at FPA Australia, and our number is 8892 3131, or just send an email to the team at fpaaustralia.com.au, and we'll get back to you very quickly and put you on to the registration team.
Well, thank you again, John, for your time today. I hope that people watching this video have learned a little bit more about Fire Australia 2023 in Sydney. If you've got questions, go to the fireaustralia.com.au website to learn more, or reach out to the Fire Protection Association via their website. So once again, thank you, John, for your time, and thank you for all of those who are watching us live.
Yeah, thanks, Russ, and I look forward to hosting and catching up not only with yourself in Sydney, but many of your clients and customers, technicians, and also building owners who have been online here today. And don't be afraid to tap me on the shoulder and introduce yourself and say you're part of the Firewise team.
Thank you so much again, John.